Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine all back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Demon City. Demon City is a Japanese action movie based on the manga series Oni Goroshi and tells the story of Shuhei Sakata, a hitman who decides to retire and live a life of peace with his family. However, his new life is short-lived and abruptly taken away when a group of masked criminals kill his family and frame him for the crime while leaving him in a coma. 12 years later, Sakata wakes up from his coma with the memories of what happened still fresh in his mind. He goes on a quest to kill every demon that he encountered on that fateful night so that he can achieve justice for him and his family. This movie doesn't do anything more than what its premise sets out to accomplish, which isn't entirely a bad thing. The action scenes are plentiful and feature lots of gory set pieces, so it's great as far as pure entertainment goes, but when it comes to the story, it ends up being bland at worst and illogical at best. As a character, Sakata is more or less just okay. He has a good motive for wanting to kill the gang members, and his actor does a good job portraying the anger and physicality associated with a vengeful hitman. So in terms of helping the story move along, he does well enough. It's just that he never grows that much over the course of the story. He barely has any dialogue, which would make sense if there was some kind of progression as he recovers from his coma, but he stays mostly mute throughout the whole movie, which pretty much leaves him being a generic killing machine. There were a number of times where I felt the filmmakers wanted him to be like John Wick, where this one superhuman takes on an army of bad guys in every action scene. It's fine for the sake of the action, but even John Wick had some interesting things going on plot-wise. Here, it's just a typical revenge thriller. And to its credit, it still does a decent job of telling its story outside of the protagonist. There's a clear theme involving the corruption of society through the portrayal of the gang members or demons throughout the movie, who are called the Kimengumi. They pretty much carry the plot and fill in the blanks where Sakata can't, and I did enjoy how the movie explored their backstories. They don't differ all that much from each other beyond the masks they wear, but they do add to this sense of hopelessness conveyed in the story, with how they take over the city of Shinjo and kill anyone who dares to oppose them. Their masks also add to this tension, and that you never know who these people are, or if they're watching you at any given moment, and I enjoyed seeing this aspect play out. In the end though, while enjoyable, the villains are just as ordinary as the hero. They want to take over the metaphorical world, and it's up to Sakata to stop them, even if he's doing it for other reasons. This same sort of idea can be found in several other movies with a revenge element behind them, and it's not bad in its execution, but it's not great either. The main reason to watch this movie is the action, of which there is a ton of. It's almost mind-blowing with how much action is crammed into one scene, let alone the fact that nearly all of it features copious amounts of blood and gore, and every scene features a mob of goons against one guy. Any kind of action scene you're looking for is here. Fists are thrown, limbs are chopped off, furniture is smashed to pieces, and bullets fly everywhere. Almost as many bullets as there are bodies. It's actually hilarious how much carnage happens at any given moment, and the high-energy metal music playing in the background makes it even better. I also like the variety of locations where the action takes place. Sakata takes on goons at places like a hospital, a garbage plant, and a corporate building, among others. And it's fantastic because it leaves more possibilities for the kinds of props he uses in fights while adding a sense of progression to Sakata trying to find and kill the Kimenguri. There are a few nitpicks I have with the action though. The camera angles often tend to be filmed up close, which makes it hard to see what exactly is happening in the heat of the action, and a good chunk of the blood is computer generated too. It certainly has more practical effects than an average North American blockbuster would, but it can be off-putting to see a wave of red flash across the screen, only for none of it to land anywhere. Perhaps the biggest issue I have with the action is the crazy amount of physical punishment Sakata endures in his mission. I guess it's supposed to tie into how this man woke from a coma and is totally possessed with revenge to kill the gang at any cost, but at a certain point it becomes too much and takes me out of the story. It's definitely not meant to be light or fair with how much violence there is, and in that regard, it at least does well in staying consistently dark with its tone. For as silly as the action can be at times, and I do enjoy it to an extent, I am glad the movie takes its story seriously enough, even if it's not original. The overall visuals and production designs are just as sleek too. There's a sense of scale behind the Kimenguri thanks to the wide shots made of the city of Shinjo, implying their reach goes far and wide, and that it goes beyond just the 5 people Sakata is going for. Unfortunately, the movie never goes farther than it could and stays stuck within its rote conventions as a revenge story. However, there is one surprise in the form of a plot twist that happens about halfway through the movie. I'm normally not a fan of twists, but in this case I thought it was handled well. For one, it feels natural in the way it happens. It's surprising, but not so much that it's outside the realm of possibility, so I didn't feel cheated by it. The other thing I liked about it is, like I said before, it happens at the halfway point, which gives the audience plenty of time to digest what happens, as opposed to pulling the rug from underneath them toward the end and leaving everyone in shock and confusion. One's enjoyment of this movie will ultimately depend on how much they're willing to suspend their sense of disbelief. The action is entertaining, but it falls under the classic case of too much of a good thing being, well, not so good. And action alone isn't enough to carry a movie and make it stand out from the crowd. Overall, Demon City is an average action flick that does well enough with its core objective, but doesn't do much more beyond that. If you like action movies, especially ones with copious amounts of blood and mayhem, and aren't expecting anything fancy in terms of story, you might enjoy checking this out. Perhaps its story would have benefited from being made into a series instead of a movie, considering it is based on a manga, but as it stands now, it's not terrible by any means. It's still fun to watch, but it doesn't quite live up to the demonic expectations of its namesake. What did you think about this movie? Did you have a blast with the amount of action in it, or was it too much for your tastes? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of Demon City. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the American drama, Anora. Bye bye!